now call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I will administer the oath of office to our newly re-elected board members, Mr. Kevin Charles and Mr. Alan Budine. And I will state for the record that Mr. Richard DeMond Jr. has already taken his oath of office at the end of last week. Please answer, I do. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Board of Education Trustee to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you. Please sign there. Thank you.
Make sure to keep it.
Sign right there. Thank you.
Gotcha.
And now I will call for nominations for Board of Education President for 22-23.
I would like to nominate Graydon Dutcher. I would like to step back. We have another grandchild coming tomorrow, and I would like to free up some time. I'll second that.
Okay, and if there are no other nominations, I would like to call for a vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And Mr. Dutcher is elected as president.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Did you ever hear the train coming?
I honestly thought, I'm like, that's one way to quiet me down a little bit, right?
No.
Finish this.
You want to swap seats?
Well, I have to administer your oath. Are you going to move?
Sure.
Thank you.
Paul doesn't know about it.
Please answer, I do. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Board of Education President to the best of your ability?
I do.
You're going to sign right here. Thank you. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Mr. Dutcher, and he will call for nominations for Vice President.
May I first say, thank you, Rhonda, for all the years you've put in here. You've been president ever since I've been here, and I know that this board has grown and excelled, and Walton Central School District, with all staff support, has moved ahead. And I'm very proud and honored and humbled. And if I skipped through a few things, I know I have everybody's support to get me through it for the first one. So I appreciate your service, and you're not going very far away, so we can. With that, I would like to open nominations for election of vice president for the Board of Education.
With the idea of keeping her on and not going very far away, I would suggest that she'd be a good candidate for the vice presidency seat. So I'd make that recommendation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Excellent idea, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Let us see, Vice President, may I have
Thank you, Kevin.
my name over there? I appreciate that, Kevin, by the way. Thank you.
What'd you say?
I'm sitting here going like this, you go with your mouth.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Board of Education Vice President to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you.
This is the first time that I actually have to sign into
Oh,
this in a long time, so I'm like, how do I do that, Cory? I think I'm out.
you should be able to do that
You just
from
close it,
the
leave it alone, works for me.
front page.
Yep, okay. Well, thank you, Kevin, and thank you for all the time that you have served and being right there beside me. Appreciate it as well.
Okay. All set?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, our reorganizational meeting consent agenda consists of the resolution, appointments of officers and others, resignations, authorizations, and authorization for president to sign legal documents and annual reports, credit card approvals, standard workday resolution, committees, fees, rates, and bonding, petty cash funds, extenuating circumstances, impartial hearing officer, independent student psychological evaluators, correcting and refunding erroneous taxes, 403B designee, and CSE, CPSE committees. Does anybody have any individual questions on the consent agenda?
Yeah, have we lost Deb Little yet? Mike?
That's still anticipated at this time.
Okay, so as of now, she's still there.
You want to go through them one by one, or do you guys have their informational packet? These are all available after the meeting by how many days to the public?
The packet is available at least 24 hours in advance.
So rather than read through all these individually, everybody has those aware of them.
Correct.
Excellent.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
We have a motion to close the organizational meeting and enter the regular business meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll call our regular business meeting to order. We'll start with our approval of the CSE, CPSE recommendations. If anybody had any, thank you. Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Enter sixth regular meeting, our public comment. We're going to start with faculty recognition by Dr. McDonald.
We were surprised, I think all of us, right? With no notification come from anywhere. Jody received notification via email, I believe, that she has been recognized as one of, I think, 5 or 6 regional teachers for what is named the recipient of the Empire State Excellence in Teaching Award. With that comes a $5,000 stipend to support their professional learning opportunities. And the governor, I'm just going to read what the governor quoted. Before, throughout, and as we move past this pandemic, teachers have selflessly shown up for our kids and deserve our immense gratitude. It is impossible to recognize each one of their hard work and effort, but I am pleased to congratulate 54 outstanding educators for their commitment to their students. They embody the values and mindset that every educator should have, and I applaud them for inspiring thousands of children across our great state. So if you think of 700 and some districts across the state, varying sizes, and 54 teachers out of the thousands, and one of our exceptional teachers has received that award. So congratulations, Shirley.
Yes.
And I just want want to say thank you for doing this. Really, it's an honor, and I'm not going to cry. I just do what I do because I love what I do, and it's nice to be recognized. So for 20 plus years, I've worked alongside many other teachers who are very much deserving to be standing here right now. So it's very humbling to stand here in front of you and say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Well, thank you. Good job. Very nice.
Still a mystery how the nominations occur or anything else, which kind of makes it even special, more special. You know, it wasn't like we didn't even know the application or anything existed. And all of a sudden Jody was selected. So to me, makes it a little more, mystery's okay. Makes it even a little more special, but well deserving.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And if you all want to escape,
Just watch me walk.
thank you for coming.
Yes, good night.
We have no other public comment. No one in the audience. So we'll move to discussion items. So our facilities meeting committee met on June 30th. Would either one of you like to give a report on that?
Didn't make it, so.
I can, let me just,
If anybody has had a chance to come by the high school, you can see some dramatic changes, for the better. It doesn't look it right this second, but it has to look like this in order to get better, and it's coming.
right. So at our meeting, we did discuss everything that is happening, how quickly it's happening as well. We discussed all the asbestos pipe fittings, I guess the elbows and stuff that will be removed, and that is actually being done. You can look down through the corridors and see the sections blocked off. Middle school ceiling, if you've been down that way recently, the entire ceiling is completely gone. So that will be looking much nicer than it is right now, but all the wires and you can see everything, so drastic change right there. Townsend School, the lighting in the classrooms have been done, the emergency lighting and the corridor lightings. If it hasn't been done, it will be done soon. They're still working on that. We have, we discussed the bids that will be coming up actually in this evening's packet. The 2 classrooms, well, the capital outlay, the $100,000 that we've set aside for the capital outlay, we'll have 2 classrooms doing that to the lowest bidder. And then the generator and the windows and I'm forgetting something else. There's the electrical, and the library.
Classroom.
So
The library floor.
the library floor, yep. So that'll be in the packet as well that you've reviewed already. The CNS contract, we discussed that. And we discussed about replacing the cooling system at the elementary school as an alternate in the wing that they're going to be repairing. It's just not up to what it should be, cooling. So if we can squeeze that in as an alternate, we'll do that. And then that way, what's the point of having it if it's not going to work properly? Replacing possible windows. We discussed the windows, the way that they open, they swing out versus, like the emergency windows here, how they swing over or something. Possibly they can swing a different direction or something, but those are an issue right now, and there's no screens. So for safety issues, something needs to be done with them. So that'll be looked at. And I think I had other notes here, but the end of July submission for the Townsend School, that will go by the end of July to SED for approval. And other than what the DEP wanted out here, remember we were held up for the DEP regulations, we've made some changes to the requested scope that they're doing, and it may cost the district additional funds, but hopefully we can put that through to the CWC and get reimbursed for that, because of what the DEP wants. You know, that's gonna cost us, so. And I think that's all I remembered, but.
Anything above the state statute in the New York City watershed usually is funded by the CWC type program. So that's for all the additional stormwater drains, catch basins, treatments, things like that within the system. And we're over 2 acres of disturbance, so you know, it's a pretty sizable lot when you get working at it. So I think one of the take homes I brought we're on pace as far as budget goes, and it looks like our contractors are really turning it up, and they're on schedule even after these massive delays. I'm not gonna say they're on schedule, but they are definitely progressing towards it rapidly when they put all hands on deck up here when they started opening things up. So I know some county assets and some other people help with millings to get them off site, things like that, which help save time all the way around. So as long as we keep having some decent weather here, I think we should make some pretty good progress from a contract standpoint. I'm very happy with our consultants on our end of things from the school, looking after things. Their reports are excellent. You guys see them in the board packets. They keep us up to date regularly, very regularly, and they're very thorough. And I think most importantly, they're keeping staff appraised of where they're working, what they're demoing, when they're doing it, and what they can expect to see for changes coming forward. So in addition to that, I'm happy. Other than, I'd like to say later on, the bidding process has been great. These ad alternatives have really paid off to be able to figure out what we can afford, what's needed, and how do we move forward without having to rebid, redesign, things of that nature. So good forward
It's
thought.
thankfully been favorable as far as the bids have come in, very favorable, which we were all worried would not happen in this next cycle because of all the manufacturing delays and increased inflation and everything going on. But so far, knock on wood, there's not any real wood here, is this real wood? It would, you know, hopefully it'll keep moving the way it's moving. There are 3 other facility items that we talked about just briefly, small ones, that the public may see this week. We've got Townsend School Playground finally being done. We thought we'd get it done in April, didn't happen. This is all through ARP, the federal recovery monies. It's getting remulched. We have some warranty work with some pieces of equipment that need to be repaired. We have a new piece coming in, I think, for the pre-K area. And we have border that needed to be replaced that was cracked. So all about safety and getting it up. That they're actually taking out all the mulch. It's compacted to now it's hard putting new mulch in. That should be done this week. Tennis court and a track resurfacing should be done this week at the middle school, high school. We're also adding a tennis court because it's got to be striped anyway. We're adding pickleball courts, 6 of them, so our phys ed classes can do pickleball outside. A lot of our senior citizens enjoy that sport as well in the public, so they'll have another area that they can go. We have outside equipment that we're keeping out there as well. So a lot going on.
And the other thing is to add to safety, we discussed the loading dock. It's all torn apart right now, as you notice when you're coming in, and when the trucks back up, they're not backing up to it straight, they're kind of on an angle, so it has a gap that they've been using like a metal plate to unload the vehicles. Now it'll back up hopefully closer because it'll be on an angle with the trucks and make it more safer for the drivers and our employees.
That's been an odd angle dock for.
Yeah.
But the dock stayed straight with the building, right? And then the wind
built
walls were at a
driveway.
different angle instead of angled with.
Yeah.
So it creates that empty pie shape that's
Yeah.
a hazard to say the least. So
Yep.
while it's tore apart, it's a great time to take care of it.
And that was a nice catch, and that's something they're gonna work through. Our construction manager will work with design, because that was not in the original design, so it'll be something to see if we can get done as we progress with the budget.
Nothing else on facilities. Annual building walkthrough, we have to do every year as an inspection as a Board of Ed to walk through. We want to start at Townsend School at 6 p.m. The possible dates are August 29th or 30th. You want to send an email to capture it, or do you?
Well, the reason, well, we can, but just so that we understand the reasoning of that, we're trying to back it up. Typically, in a lot of years, many years, it was done butted right up against the school year. And the board identifies things, you know, it's an active walkthrough. And to be able to do it at the beginning of that week, either that Monday or Tuesday, will give facilities time to address any concerns that you identify. It's an active walkthrough, and it serves a purpose for safety. And there's been, well, the 2 I've been with you, the board has identified several things that we have addressed, so
New white
that's
gloves
why we're
this
doing
year?
it that way. What's that?
New white gloves
No
this
white
year?
gloves, no white gloves.
As of right now, I'm available either date.
So it's a Monday or Tuesday?
Yep.
So whichever, or do you want to do it by email? Does everybody have,
Sure, I can send out an email.
probably easier?
I know the 29th will be.
I'd prefer Monday if possible, but.
The 29th is better for you, both? Okay. We just have to check with Paul if that works for everybody else.
Kind of use the
Pick a
tentative,
day, whatever day you tell me, I'll be here, I don't
Okay.
care.
that's,
So we'll favor the 29th and see if
Okay.
that works for Paul.
Okay, thank you for that.
6 PM?
yes.
6.
Yep, and we'll take you to active areas. Over there, it's just lighting, so it'll be a typical walkthrough over there, a little bit briefer. Take a look at the outside, take a look at key areas. Over here, we'll concentrate a little bit broader because you have so much that's being done in the facility. So that'll be our approach this year.
Next discussion items, NISBA Annual Conference for 22-23. The dates are October 27 through 29 in Syracuse. I believe this is in person. I know, Rhonda, you expressed interest in
Yeah, I
going?
would like to attend.
Okay.
Especially with it being so close, and it is very informative.
Anybody else interested in going?
I am the 20, okay. I didn't think there were Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
Yeah, they changed, well, actually, before the pandemic hit, they were switching it to that.
Okay. Just-
People were thinking less time off.
No, it's,
Because it used to be, what, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, now it'll include a Saturday, which is typically your
That's a-
half day.
I thought we usually travel down like a Sunday
Yeah,
for that. That's why it was just, and then looked at the calendar, dates were throwing me a little bit of a, no, I mean, I'd be interested in that too. I think it's a good informational, and you get to see different things. We've been there and experienced some different things, and the other districts have done that they have found successful and that they haven't found not to be successful, so you learn a few, you know.
Yeah, it was especially helpful when they were talking about the capital projects on,
Right.
on how to address those with your community and how to work through the process. I was
And even
took a lot from that.
the vendors section that they have where you can walk through and look at the different roofing mats that are out there and different things, so you can kind of get a, you know, I'll be curious to see what they have for these electric buses this year.
So what I'll do is, beginning of next week, I'll personally reach out to whoever hasn't said yes or no tonight to find out whether or not you'd like to go.
Do we have an agenda to delegate the alternate?
It is in the agenda, yes, and that will be a virtual meeting, it's ahead of time.
Okay. So they're not trying to do that on Saturday morning
No.
anymore? Okay. Good. Okay, advisory committees. So our advisory committees, we can have up to a maximum of 3 board members. The only thing we can't do is we cannot have a quorum in the board members. There's no minimum number, but just there is a maximum number so that we don't have quorum at these. So tonight, we're gonna try to appoint finance, facilities, curriculum, and policy. I know everybody's reached out. We kind of have some of that sorted out as everyone's opinions. We can go down through. Currently, the policy advisory committee, we have myself, Kevin, Paul, Meg Hungerford. Facilities advisory committee is Kevin Charles, myself, and Rhonda. And finance advisory committee is Rhonda and Paul and Meg. And curriculum advisory committee, we have Al Bedine, Tammy Tweedy, and Rhonda Williams. So we have to.
Right. Paul did just say he would like to be on curriculum.
and I was gonna step off.
Okay.
We still have some holes to plug in with some
Right.
board members too, so. In addition to that, we also need reps for the shared decision-making team, which goes hand in hand with the curriculum committee, and district-wide safety team, 1 or 2 members, and then the AIDS advisory council. We'll also need members for that.
I'd like to be on the safety team.
Okay.
I'll join the shared decision making.
Okay.
And the time commitment of the shared decision making, just so that everybody realizes, we We changed it, it's kind of embedded with the strategic planning. I'm trying to get everything embedded with the strategic planning. And we did a fall review of strategic planning, a mid-year check-in on progress of the action steps, and then the end of the year is the July meeting. There's only 2 during the year, and then a July meeting that the board is at. So it's a pretty, and I think the timing of those meetings is like 4:15? That's shared
Those
decision
meetings,
making?
yes, shared decision making, yes.
So just so that they're, just for everybody's info.
And some of these we can appoint at the next meeting, correct?
Correct, yes, correct.
So we can have time to think about that and then make appointments officially at the next meeting.
Right, we should try to get the advisory committees done tonight if possible.
How many people are you lacking for that?
AIDS Advisory Council needs at least one or
One.
two.
Mhm.
And then we would have one more position open on both shared decision and district safety team. I wouldn't mind being on the safety team, to be involved.
And those meetings are typically at 3:15.
Okay.
Once a month. But you come when you can.
And there is will continue to be a Zoom Google Meet option on those.
Shared decision?
Well, I don't know, because I don't get out of work till 3 or sometimes after, so I mean, it'd be rough for me to make the 3:15 meetings, because.
Right, shared decision making is 4:15, and we can, it's twice a
That
year.
that would be easier for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we can always catch up if you happen to
Okay.
miss.
Okay.
It's really in fact, you're going to be double, because you're gonna get that same information as the shared decision making team here at the board table.
Okay,
We'll do the same presentation for the board
all right.
twice a year.
Cool.
So it's a pretty good committee to, to be on.
As long as I can make it, I'm good, I don't care.
Yep.
Appreciate it, thank you. Other discussion items, Dr. McDonald, open positions and possible emergency appointments.
Yeah, so, those members that have been here last year, I'm very sensitive to the concept of emergency appointments. Because emergency appointments, I'm making them and you're accepting them. You're not appointing them with my recommendation. I'm actually following up on it. So anytime that I know they're coming, I want to communicate that with the board, either a Friday letter or here. So right now, as we're sitting here, the following positions we still have open. Family Consumer Sciences, we actually added, I was talking with another district that has had that position open, that's Home Economics. It's had that position open 4 times, they can't fill it. So they've gone with a different model, business last, and just kind of balancing that between the two. So we put that out there as a combo as well. They're both out, just to see if we get somebody. There's 2 programs in the whole state, and they haven't had a new student in like 4 years. That is going to be a problem, and the state's gonna have to address it at some point, because schools are just not gonna be able to fill it. But we have that one. We have the 2 special education teachers at the elementary, a school psychologist, elementary classroom, the UPK, anticipated director of pupil personnel, multiple teacher aides, and a custodial worker. So all of these positions, if able to be filled, I'll need to move on before the next meeting, or we won't have people in place, because there's a 30-day hold from the previous district up to. So if I don't move on it, we won't have people in place come beginning of the year for kids. So that's kind of where we are. We do have some of these, that school psychologists, we're getting no applicants, and I just told you about the fax position. Other than those, we're getting some movement and some potential employees. So some of these will be filled, and some of them are on the agenda tonight, other positions that will be filled. So just letting you know kind of where we're at. Any of them that are even remotely interesting, questionable, unique situations where we have to go long-term stuff, anything of that nature, I will of course bring them to you and have a conversation prior to. But if it's a straightforward hire and a very solid applicant, I'll move on those with emergency appointments, so we can move with your blessing.
We have to have them filled this week.
Yep. And that's a lot of positions to have at this time of year.
Right.
It's a little bit, nerve-wracking. But we'll get through one way or the other.
Correspondence, any correspondence?
We do not have any.
I apologize, I'll back up. Is there any other discussion items that anybody has from the board? Should open that to everybody first. Okay. Correspondence?
No, we do not have any.
Okay. Additions to the agenda?
We do not have any tonight.
Okay. Our regular meeting consent agenda, and everybody has the backup documentation on this, again, including the resolution. To award the milk and ice cream bids, approve the radio towers agreement, approve 10 summer days, approve another 10 summer days, different facility, or I can probably read those if we have to. Most of these are RN, so the first 10 summer days is to approve 10 per diem summer days to Leonardo RN for the 22-23 school year. Our second approved 10 summer days is for Victoria McLennan Wood RN for 22-23, and approved 75 summer hours for Pam DeDazio LPN for the 22-23 school year. Approve the 22-23 summer stipends that are listed. Personnel resignations and retirements. We have resignation from Avi Brimstein and Elizabeth Ogden. Personnel appointments that are listed: grade chair level leaders, department chairs, and advisors. The athletic recommendations, which is your coaching staff for your fall sports.
We have some summer appointments too.
And this one. Under athletic recommendations.
Right here. This went with personnel appointments.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So it's the summer reading program instructors effective July 11th. Nancy Saglambini, Angela Bain, Cindy Harrington, Bryn Hoover Day, high school summer instructor effective July 11 through August 17 in English, Ellen Pringle, middle school, high school, summer school nurse, Victoria McLennan Wood and Leanne Otto, Crush Connects, SEL, Wald Ranger, Laura Fassler, Christina Hewitt, and Catherine Hoffmeister. Internal appointments, I don't want to read it through all of these, but they are in our packets, so you guys can read down through, otherwise we'll be reading for a long time tonight. Athletic recommendations again are your varsity fall sports coaches. Bear with me as I try to go through paper copies. Okay. Personal approvals, again, listed there for 2 days for curriculum development and training with several teachers and assisting staff in those. Personal approval, substitute rosters are listed. So that's all contained within our consent agenda on the regular meeting. And when they get less lengthy, I will read those, but it's they're big list now. So Rhonda did good for 5 years that I'm aware of doing that, but I may default to having you read the rosters at a time. So is there any discussion on any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion seconded, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. And we'll slow down a little bit for new business. Not to get caught up. So our first one under is approval of Delaware County to do tax collection agreement. Any discussion on that?
And this was one more year.
Correct. Yep. One more year to consider this as we work out internal functions of the district.
A motion?
The motion,
So moved.
look for a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Capital outlay project. Our capital outlay project, let's see if I have this right here. Our base bid was $68,100 for the capital outlay project, and that's our $100,000 capital outlay project. We want to approve that to Andrew R. Mancini Associates for the base bid. And there were two alternates, but the total was a 68-1.
That's what I had received.
Yep. Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept that.
have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. And our next one, we have our award generator, window, and library project bids. So our contract number 1 for general construction was Upstate Companies LLC with a base bid of $269,000. Add alternative of the nurses area windows, basically replacing the whole window units across the face of the building for a total of $403,000. Contract number 2 was electrical construction. Again, Upstate Companies was a low bid at $668,000. So sum of all contracts was $1,071,071,000. And that electrical construction had a base bid of $420,000, and the add alternative was adding the panel, power panel, and also the feeders replacement. They were old in the building. They were circa, what were they, 1950s-ish?
Yeah, they were
Somewhere in that ballpark.
back quite a ways.
Older than, yeah.
So they got to the point where we couldn't find fuses, things of that nature, so it was really getting time to upgrade those.
I believe they were Federal Pacific, weren't they?
Yeah.
So they were,
They're considerably old.
Is this our money or state money or federal money?
This project is through ARP, our federal project.
So it's not costing the district.
Correct.
Okay.
So entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Next, we have our construction management agreement between CNS companies that was in our supplemental minutes folder between the Walton Central School District. Continue that construction management for the Townsend School second floor agreement that we are working on actively now for replacement. Any discussion on that? Entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
I will say they're doing a very nice job.
Yeah, they're not replaceable. I'll tell you what, they're great. The accuracy and what they're doing. I think the bids themselves reveal how much work they're putting in behind the scenes. I mean, our bids are coming in a very competitive fashion. A lot of them are under. We're being able to add alternatives. Maggie's working the finances behind the two. And it's really, really paid off. And so I think it saved the district a lot of time and effort, and we're getting a real good quality project without us all trying to do it ourselves. They're working on our behalf, and they are doing an excellent job.
And I think something to keep in mind as we move forward is having a construction manager and the architect, separate firms, of course, in the development phase. They both do different estimations when they're coming to a conclusion. So rather than have, look, our current project, the budget's working out very well, we have the right team. But initially going out, as you remember, we had some strong concerns with the roofing and the different estimates. There was only a single estimation done because we didn't have a construction management firm at the same time. So we have a really big advantage of best practice right now moving forward. And honestly, seeing how this syncs and how it works was not something that I visioned, but man, we're reaping the rewards of this, absolutely. So as we move forward, I think that's something that the district wants to keep in mind forever, to always have a construction management firm on staff, listed, even if you don't have an active development, Because in between, they'll work the development if they've got the contract for that next firm. And then you've got two estimations, and it's different from a construction management lens than it is from an architectural lens.
Well, and even the advice that we've had from them on other topics
Oh,
during
yes.
our, facility meetings and stuff like that. I mean, so you
Yep.
just, it's a resource that you can pull off from just by having it. It's been-
Absolutely.
And the estimating alone, I mean, just having someone else be able to estimate and check those estimates before they go out, because we're promising the public their dollars spent effectively. We want to make sure that the bids are going out and we're not reducing the scope on things, and they've held everything to the T right now, in an excellent condition, so
Yep.
it's definitely a big value. Like I said, we don't do this for a living as far as, for the most part, this type of construction. We have, Kevin's good with parking lots and replacement of binder, things like that, and knows what he's doing, but when it comes down to light fixtures and all the work that they're doing on these capital projects, it's such a broad scope, and they have vast experience on it, so it helps out a lot. So we'll have to have approval on the construction management agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Kevin,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is carried. Okay, Smart Schools Investment Plan. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look through this, but I don't know if you want to elaborate on what the requirements are, but we're asking to have a preliminary plan tonight, and then it has to be on our website for 30 days for comment to the public. So we're approving preliminary tonight, having a 30-day comment period, and then we would expect to adopt at the formal August 23rd board meeting.
Correct.
Depending on how much input we receive, it could go to September 6th, but the plan right now is to adopt officially on August 23rd. Miss anything on that?
No, and this was the presentation that Mr. Robinson did at the last meeting.
Any discussion? Entertain a motion to accept the preliminary plan. Richard,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay, create a workplace coordinator stipend position. Was discussed and brought forward at the last meeting by the curriculum committee. Position is a $4,000 stipend funded through the Title IX grant to build a internal liaison between student services, principals, and the Walton businesses to provide field trips, shadowing, internship opportunities in businesses and industry, student presentations to expand our career development options. So, any discussion on that?
Do we have an individual,
Earmark?
yeah,
No, we have not opened it because it hasn't been
Okay.
created by the board.
okay, so it will be
Yep.
created.
As soon as it's created tonight, I'll work with the administrators to get out an internal posting district-wide.
Okay.
But didn't want to get in front of myself. So,
And I think this was something the community pushed back a lot on, so they wanted to get more of this involvement out in the general public
Yep, and
with students.
It certainly was a large conversation on our strategic planning group meeting. I think, Tammy, you were in that group,
Yes.
if I recall.
Yep.
So this is a direct alignment with an action step, so.
I hope a lot of businesses participate, give the kids an opportunity to see what's out there and how things are done,
Mhm.
an idea of what they want to do in the future.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Amy?
Second?
Rhonda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Welcome, Paul.
Sorry, everyone.
We knew you were in favor of creating that coordinator stipend for sure, because it brings out the students into the businesses and something to career development options that we were talking about a long time.
Absolutely.
Okay, designated voting delegate and alternate for the NISBA annual meeting held remotely at 4 p.m. on Monday, October 17th, 2022. Rhonda, be my backup on this one? As an
Yes, I
alternative?
can.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it the last 2 years virtually, and I like that much better than actually going to the meeting and sitting there. You can read all the resolutions beforehand, see what you think, the board is gonna, like, I always send out emails to everybody to see what you might be in favor of supporting or what you're completely against. That way I know which way to vote. For the most part, they vote with what NISBA is, recommending, that they're, fighting statewide, not just for our district. But it seems to go much quicker. It's painful, but it does go much quicker than when you're in person.
Maybe she wants to be the voting delegate. You're not talking me into wanting to be.
She's selling it.
Delegate.
But you're at your own home and, you're just watching it and participate when you need to. So I can be an alternate.
You sure want to be the delegate?
No, that's okay.
Anybody else want to be the delegate? I'm waiting for everybody to step back. No? I will do that if you want me to.
Thank you.
That was the train you were talking about.
I heard it coming.
So let's get a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so now we're gonna get into our advisory committees, officially appoint them. We have to appoint all these tonight, right?
We should.
Okay. So currently on our facilities committee is myself, Kevin, and Rhonda, and our school business manager. Does that look good to everybody? Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one's set. Appoint the Finance Advisory Committee. We have listed in our finance as Rhonda Williams, Paul Wood, president as an alternate, and a school business manager. All good with that one?
Make a motion.
Have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Policy Advisory Committee. Kevin Charles, myself, and Paul, currently on that one. As long as Paul continues to read them, I would be good with that. How about you, Kevin?
I'm fine. The only thing I was gonna ask is if Rich or Al, if either one of yous want anything to do with them or not. Just, the only thing I'll say about the policy, we've come a long way.
Oh, boy.
It's a lot simpler today than it was, but it does give you the behind the scenes background of where things are at today. If either one's interested, if not, I will stay on, but if one of you are, I would step us so you could have that. I mean, that's,
That is a good perspective, Kevin, because when we went through that process, you learn a lot by being
Right.
on the policy committee. If you don't have the background, that it keeps it fresh with everybody.
or even Tammy. That's,
Yeah.
just, no takers? Okay.
The offer's on the table.
You're up.
All right, then,
The good times roll?
yep, I'll make a motion.
As long as.
Second.
Okay, a motion a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried with Paul reading them. Curriculum Advisory Committee, Al Badine, Tammy Tweedy, president as alternate. Could we have three on this?
Yes, and
So-
Paul did express interest in being on this one.
Okay, so, that would be three right there. I would not have to sit on this to keep it out of a quorum, obviously. So we're entertaining Alan, Tammy, and Paul.
I'll make that motion.
Sounds good.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay, personnel appointments. We have the appointments of a senior account clerk, provisional at 35,000 per year. Joyce, help me with last name.
Caparoso.
Caparasso, sorry about that. Austin Bedent, for physical education.
Yeah, Austin Beedian.
Bedian, excuse me. Angela Munyon for art, and Beth O'Hara for mathematics.
What level will Mr. Bedient be at? Will it be high school?
All effective dates of 9/1/22, except for Joyce, who is effective date 7/6/22. We have a motion?
Make the motion.
Those appointments. We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay, no more new business. On to old business. So, tabled from the last meeting was the approval of the soccer programs merger. Since then, staff has put together more documentation for us and data, as well as we've received support in some areas from local parents as well. So I think everyone was well vetted, and I think our staff did a good job of following up with questions and data.
They
So
did,
I'd
and
like to open up discussion.
I thank the staff as well for bringing that information forward and taking the time to look into it, and it gave me more time to be able to look into things as well. Going back through the 21-22, mileage was one of the one parent's concerns, how long the individuals, the players would be on the buses. And what I come up with from last year's mileage to this year's proposed merger, we're looking at 1,160 added miles. And that would include the practice, going back and forth to practice. 21-22, 22-23 with the practice included, you're looking at definitely obvious more time on the buses, where figure half hour over, half hour back. You've got an hour out of your day just for practice, and then the games, there's 9 games that are at least an hour or more away on a school bus starting this year. If the merger, the additional buses, and then both varsity levels, looking at how many we had last year in the documentation, boys and girls. There's, at the varsity level, the students would definitely, or more, I should say, likely experience less playing time than what they had in previous years, because, for instance, boys for Downsville has 14 players at the varsity level. Walton would only have 9 players. Girls, there would be 18 at Downsville. 12 of that merged team would be from Walton Central. And then the modified, there would be an opportunity to swap out, because you're playing 2 different levels. The modified, a learning experience, they could do 11 on 11 and swap them out easy enough, where the varsity, you're there for the win. So you'd have less chance to swap out, depending on, what situation you're in, we're playing. So my concern is, we're definitely talking mileage. We're definitely talking more bus drivers. I went through some of the contracts, and that's definitely going to be an increase on top of, I think, what was additionally put down for just the 40 practice, because of the games that are involved. And my biggest concern would be, the students are kind of telling us that they're really not interested if they're not stepping up to take on that sport with the decline. Whether that's all the sports, or whether that's, just soccer, that I don't know, but so those are real concerns for me.
What do you mean the students are saying they're not interested?
Well, if our participation is, dropping off like it is, and not just, at our school, but Downsville, Downsville is looking to merge because of their low numbers, that, are the kids not interested in soccer? Are they going towards something else? Is there, their interest changing?
I think you're seeing this across the board we are seeing many schools merging for sports.
Right.
So I think this is not just a Walton problem, or a Downsville problem.
Yeah, we've done it before.
And I mean, when we look at the number of schools that are currently merging,
Yeah,
we're one of the last ones to merge in our area for a large sport like this.
And one thing to support that too, just to say, if kids don't see a sport being competitive at a varsity, modified to support it at the varsity level, anything like that, then they will choose another sport early where you can be competitive. Because I mean, our students want to participate in something, but they also, even when you see the littlest kids running around like, bees swarming, chasing a ball, at the end of the game when that whistle blows, they get in the van and they say, we won. Or, they're keeping score even though nobody else is. So when they don't see that at the, higher levels being supported necessarily, that you have a team that's competitive, that can go, that's where kids aren't running out of gas on the bench, things along those lines, I think that it discourages them at a young age. And we are seeing kids come out fewer and fewer in all sports across the board, but does that mean that we get away from sports altogether? No, we're here to support the whole student. I mean, we talk about that.
And I agree with that. But that's, you have to weigh that option.
Oh, absolutely.
What's best for the, the students, but yet what can we afford going forward? And this being brought to us after budget is already done, for this year. It is going to add a lot more.
I don't think it's going to add a lot more based on the numbers that they gave us, though.
Right.
Because
those
we have
numbers
to
don't
remember
include
that we
transportation as far as like the bus
It
drivers.
does.
It includes
It
transportation for practices.
Right.
Transportation for games is going to be a moot point. We would have had it anyway. We might
And
have a
you're
few extra
sharing.
miles, we may have a few extra hours, but it's gonna be negligible. The 1,100 hours, or 1,100 miles that you mentioned included the practices going back and forth, which the
Right, the
parental.
practices were 880.
Right, that's, that additional miles. The concern that was brought forward to us from a parent perspective was modified related, and modified being late from home from practices they didn't have the information that modified is practicing here.
Right.
Modified is not getting on the bus to go to Downsville. Only varsity is getting on the bus to go to Downsville.
Right.
They're getting the bus going over and they're back by, what did we say in the?
5 something.
By 5:45.
It's 6
o'clock,
Right.
I believe.
Right,
Which
and
is,
that's where I said it would be an hour. The varsity is gonna be on the bus for a total of an hour a day, a practice day versus, to practice that time.
right, which an hour and a half built in for practice that's okay in that sport. They don't need any more than an hour and a half. I coached an emerged football team and it was an hour and a half. It went to the Section 4 championship. It can be very successful that way and kids can have the opportunity. Expense-wise, the first year, just to comment on the out of budget, we did address that in the proposal, and we did address the net cost increase of $1,000, which we have reviewed and are able to take care of that extra cost within the athletic budget by making choices and decisions within it that aren't gonna harm anything, just decisions and choices on what to purchase this year, next year, to take care of that worry, out of appreciation of the board's position on how to budget increases. So we did address that in the proposal as well. I just wanted to add commentary to those three things.
Yeah, one of the things I looked at, student safety wise, if you're running kids for 90% of your players running for 80 minutes straight with no subs, in my mind is a red flag for me. Personally, I don't want to see any of our students, they start the game strong, by the end of the game, they can't finish the game and they have no substitutes to put in the game and plug in the game. You're burning kids out. How safe is that if it's 7th to 8th grade level, things like that? My concern would be open it up. Let's see for 1 year how competitive it can be at this level. Let's figure out what works, what doesn't work. But at the end of the day, I think for a sport to be successful, you have to have the students successful, which means practicing, live practices, full team on full team, which they'll have the availability to do, condition that way, and then not burn them out every game. That just doesn't sound safe to me. So that's my opinion on it. I think for 1 year, I would be willing to see this go forward, accept the recommendation, see what it looks like, try it out, learn from it, and then figure out a better path forward. If our trajectory really is to be merger at more sports levels, which it looks like from 8th grade down, your numbers are pretty small. You're gonna have to figure these things out eventually. So we unfortunately are at a point where we have to start to try to understand it and try to make some of these things work.
And has been mentioned a couple times, you know, basically the cohorts, I mean, the kids, the classes, I mean, there's some that are male heavy, some that are female heavy, you know, so in terms of, you know, the students able to participate in these sports even, you know, it's tough to.
No, with,
The-
sorry, go ahead.
The thing for me, I guess, on this, and I feel like a politician, because I'm on the fence on this.
You were elected.
Well, okay, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, though, I'm not gonna take it to that level, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Sorry. The thing with me is, you never find a good kitchen with 2 cooks in it. So I've got concerns on how this is gonna work out in the long run with two coaches from 2 schools coming to have a harmony. I'm a graduate of Townsend. I played in that league, and that's the only sport that I did play, so I'm pretty familiar with soccer. And watching my own kids go to Walton and start under the Andy Gates and then with Miss Preston, it's a different game here, the way it is played. There are 2 different mindsets and philosophies behind that. The other thing that I can see is I want kids to be able to play, so I don't want the teams not to be able to be manned. But in the future, I can foresee a kid getting tired of having, you know, a game on Tuesday night and they're not home till 9:30 at night. And this isn't a weekend sport. I mean, so you do travel on school nights. Walton is on the southernmost tip of that league. So you will have commutes. You will have parents will travel, and as a parent getting out of work and trying to make my kids' games, that's going to increase that travel time. You do get to compete with a different school system, and you get to interject with different communities, which is not a bad thing. I mean, so I'm saying I'm seeing pros and cons on this. The biggest thing that I'm afraid of is what happens with the group coming up next year that, all right, I don't want to travel like that to play that game, so I'm just not going to come out for it. And I remember when I first got on the board, or shortly after that, the numbers for football was down. And it was asked, it never went anywhere, but the board was asked if they would consider a merger. And the answer at the time was no. Now the numbers of football are up. So I'm just saying, I see the decline today, but I'm just, if you had a crystal ball to know what your decision today makes,
Right.
But we're
what
not
does that
talking
affect?
about a long-term thing. We're saying we
It's
want to
very
try
hard to
this.
get out of it once you start it though, because it's not just our students that are affected, you're taking a whole nother district as well.
One question
So-
though, and the AD was, Adam I know was working on this. The MAC schedule, has that been, they moved on without us? Or no?
No, if it was decided tonight that we were not merging, we would have a schedule developed in the MAC League on our own. And we would see what came forward with modified. More than likely, that decision would end the modified season for both those sports this year. And it'd see modified kids pulled up to varsity to fill the varsity slots for this year here in Walton. That's the reality. We've been straightforward with that from the beginning of the process. But no, the MAC League knows that this is potentially, that's being discussed. So they've done probably majority of their work, but haven't solidified anything. Delaware League, of course, that schedule is done either way, so they've gone forward with that in their preliminaries. But then we're gonna do the work after the fact, if we end up merged, to then work on tweaking and adjusting. One of the teams travel, I forget which one it is, male or female, teams travel to Hunter this
Actually,
year.
both.
The other one, the varsity level does, modified level does not, I
Correct.
believe,
Yeah.
right? And that is on a weeknight. We would be working to see if we can't get that moved to a Saturday. There's not a lot of Saturdays right now on the schedule, so we'd be working to see if we could get more Saturday games onto that schedule. Not saying it could happen, not saying it won't happen, But there's work that can be done at the AD level from this point moving forward after we get into it.
Well, that was one of my questions with it's Tuesday, Hunter. That would be the furthest, and
Yep.
on top of the Wyndham, 2 Wyndhams.
And
At what time
Wyndham
would our
is-
students have to get out of class in order to make even a 4 o'clock game time?
Well, depends on the travel time, what's needed, potentially 2:30, 2:45. We have buses now that go 2:30, 2:45 throughout the year to different places. Hunter is 71 miles, Tioga 79, Newark Valley 73, Wyndham 62 miles. Main Endwell is 59, 3-mile difference. Green is 41, Windsor's 44, Whitney Point's 52. These add up, but not severely, not in the event of being able to participate. Field hockey is traveling to Spencer Van Etten this year on a Tuesday night at 94 miles one way.
And I do remember, obviously, when we were in school, I mean, we played Whitney Point, we played Sherburne Earlville.
Sure.
So, I mean, it hasn't been done recently, but we did play them. What I would say is, just my personal opinion, I don't have necessarily, I mean, I sit on the board, but I don't have a student who's affected by this. So I know there is a board member who does and supports this. We did hear from concerned parents. We took that into consideration, but I guess the absence of additional feedback to the Board of Education email, communication, people, public comment, anything like that. I would just say that it seems as though, I mean, it's I guess tacit approval, implied approval, by and large that parents do support it.
I do like the fact that we did get a support letter to us that did actually reach out to some of the athletes that already had been chatting back and forth with Downsville and are excited to see this because they don't want to see their modified programs go away and they don't want to see kids that are in 7th grade trying to compete at a varsity level. So.
And the thing I did have experience with was seeing a student, my son, who was on a competitive soccer team, but they did pull up for modified. And, they didn't have the numbers necessarily to run, that deep. You were there. So it is nice to be competitive, to have a competitive squad out there. They can, not to the detriment of our students, but get some W's. So.
Al, do you have anything?
No.
Well, my concern was, I've talked to one student who was in a different sport, and she said, my thing is the coaches, because the coaches in Downsville are going to be different from the coaches here, and you're going to have some that are going to say, hey, I like these guys better than these guys. So is everybody going to get to play, or is it just going to be, they're going to pick the ones they want, and then that's it? You know what I mean? So you got students who are going to say, you know what, if I'm not playing, then I'm not playing.
Well, there's right, and there's work to be done administratively regarding philosophy, regarding offensive styles, defensive styles, skill techniques, various things.
Yeah.
And as far as playing time, that's something that has to be established
And that
administratively.
was my concern,
as
is
well.
are you going to have kids that are going to say no because for whatever reason, maybe their talent isn't as much as what they think it is.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
And
run.
so they're going to go, no,
Always.
I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I guess that's where my biggest concern lies.
I know from the boys' side that the coaches are already working together because they're already doing off-season practices together. So I can't speak for the girls' varsity side, but I know that the boys' coaches they've already started this process of learning how to work together, and the coaches seem to be, from the letter from Coach Preston and also from what's going on during the week already, they are working
Who is the
together.
varsity coach in Downsville doing that? Is it still Mr. Keesler?
For boys.
Doug.
Yeah, I forget his name.
But,
I don't know.
I mean, the other thing to consider too is, this year, obviously, well, consolidating, merging, whatever. But I didn't like that it was Delaware League or bust. It seems that we are bringing something to the table as well. I know that right now, we can both field our own teams. It would leave us presumably more lean than it would them based upon the numbers. But I don't like ultimatums. I don't, and I don't think that's the best for our students. I think that, our students are used to playing their schedule too. Some sort of meeting in the middle would be helpful. I understand they have to play a certain number of games in their league, things like that, but I just don't like the all or nothing type of thing.
Anyone else have any other discussion on it? Okay, we have a motion in favor of, as is presented to us, as recommended to us. Do we have a motion to support that?
I'll make the motion.
We have a second?
Second to this motion.
Okay. Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
1 year deal, right?
1 year deal, yes, what's written.
So,
All those opposed?
Aye.
So just Rhonda is opposed? I just want to make sure I get
Aye.
this correct.
I still have reservations with that.
You
Yeah.
are
What's
saying
this?
yes, though?
Need a coin. Honestly, probably not. I don't know why. I just got a bad feeling.
2 opposed, motion carries.
Yes, correct.
Okay, merger is approved
For 1 year, right?
for 1 year. This will be revisited at budget season. We should be revisiting this prior to.
We will revisit it at the conclusion of the season, so that'll be
That'd be a good
November,
idea.
right at the beginning of budget season. We'll have a season-ending report that will be presented from the athletic director for discussion. Okay?
I think that'd be very good. I mean, and it'd be helpful to have that data for the future too, to know. I mean, it's,
There'll
And
be
thanks for
others.
the information you
Oh, I'm-
provided.
Well, I think-
exactly.
I don't think we could have done this any more thorough. I mean, everybody asked questions. We had positive feedback. We had questioning feedback. They put our staff to the task to create the results they did. The 1 year, things like that, so we're approved. Okay, that brings us to administrative remarks.
This is a meeting, we don't have any manager and supervisory remarks from any of the administrators or managers. They will all, you'll have reports at the next 2 from all. So it's just me.
Okay.
Today,
It's just me today.
with our long agenda.
And just to recap, I mean, on the facility and the work that's being done, it's incredible. I have another draft of report that's, I'm gonna have sent to you tonight, that is an update. Anytime there's anything that changes, I keep pushing those out in case you have to come to the building, or just so you know what's going on and movement around. Ethan checks in with me daily. He checked in with me this afternoon when I got here. 1, to see if there's any concerns, but 2, to give me any updates. So just a follow-up from our facilities. We talked about the asbestos abatement being a little bit behind. It is now caught up. They worked through the weekend, they worked overtime, they got it done. So now things are moving forward. So now
Nice.
they're working, they're actually putting, next step is putting ceilings back already in the
Good
middle
deal.
school. And then moving down, they're tearing out by the auditorium, and then they're gonna be, as you'll see in the report, they'll be going down through the high school wing. High school office, literally have to come in through outside, walk around the grass to B wing, come through B wing to get into the offices for a week or so. So getting there, moving quickly. The only comments that I've heard from the community have been positive, and hopefully that will continue. There are a couple questions that we're going to field by some of our close neighbors, but nothing out of just clarifications. So things are going very well. there's any issues, I'll make sure to let the whole board know if it's anything outside of facility committee needs to happen. Outside of that, our staff, you've seen in a number of the summer school and the items that are in here, we're fully staffed. Our high school, summer school is now fully staffed with the appointment tonight of an English teacher. We will be filling a few of the sections potentially with a couple of the Hancock students if needed by facility. We're kind of a little partnership there. They were trying to get us some staffing. And outside of that, it's going very well as far as summer goes. I told you about the staffing concerns I have for the regular school year, but I'm optimistic, especially with the elementary teachers, that we're going to have those filled. So
Good.
that's I can just keep pulling stuff, so I'll stop. So, but we'll see what happens. A lot of moving parts right now.
So we have a need for executive session?
Yes, we do. It'll be, I believe, brief and no action will be needed.
Okay. So if no action will be taken after executive committee, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session. The board will not be taking any action after executive session other than to adjourn the meeting. So I'll ask in advance, who will motion to go into exec? Second?
Second.
And then all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and if nothing, the meeting will be for discussing the future employment of particular persons, settled litigation, and contracts.
Can we invite Mrs. Hungerford to stay and enter with us, please?
All good? Okay.
So I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor of that motion?
Easy. Easy.
Carried. Okay, we're into exec. Thank you.
I'm gonna go use that.
Yep.